Hello and welcome to a very wet Castle Combe. Here going out for round 1 practice for the 2024 Castle Combe Karting Championship. You see I go on a bit of a different line there and actually dive up the inside. Not really intending to make an overtake there, in fact then make a bit of contact with the wall. And then diving up the inside goes Seb. Fortunately this is all just practice. It's just preparing us for the rest of the day, as it would not stop raining at any point. So the track isn't going to be getting any drier. It was actually dry when we first got there, but now going out in Heat 1, see the track is very damp. Fortunately I'm getting a good start and able to just take the line I want. There's a lot of grip on the outside at the first corner. I was worried someone might cut across the slippery inside, where you normally take the turn. Fortunately no one did, and I had a nice big margin to the rest of the field. Already looking behind and seeing I have a bit of a gap to the chasing drivers. Yeah, coming through the top hairpin there you can see 3rd, 4th and 5th. So I know I have at least a big gap over those lot. And then as we look behind now, you can see that 2nd place is a long way back. So it means I've got no pressure whatsoever. I'm able to just sort of take the lines I want, and I try some different lines. Unfortunately on this lap it doesn't work out at all. But because I had built that nice big margin, I was able to hold on to the lead without any issues. Yeah, coming across the line now, sliding a bit into the wall. That is heat number 1, victory number 1 of the day. Very pleased about that. Yeah, coming out for heat number 2. I'm going to be starting in 3rd place. I've got some very tough drivers starting in my race. Got Jen there in 2nd. I've got Seb behind me. But fortunately I'm able to get a good start and sink it up the inside. Get a bit of contact from behind, which I'm not too happy about. Yeah, just getting a bit of contact from behind, which I was not best pleased about. Fortunately, I'm able to hold on to that lead, which I was really pleased with. I take quite a defensive line into the hairpin, because I know with Seb right behind me now, I know he can be quite aggressive on his overtakes, as we saw at the final round of last year. So I wanted to just cover that off. It was very close coming through this section, but then I look behind and I see, actually I've got a nice big margin. And I can just sort of carry the speed that I want to. But now, 2 laps later, Seb has closed me back in. He's very quick, both in the wet and the dry. And he's right on my tail now, so I just need to be careful. I take the normal wet line and then get a nice little hit from behind, which wasn't the best. It did find out later on it was to do with the carts, and to all credit of him, he backed off and gave me a nice margin, which meant I went onto this final lap with a nice big gap. However, I know he is quicker than me, as I said, so for this first half of the lap I don't need to worry about defending, but I need to be going as quickly as I possibly can without making a mistake. The wet lines at Castle Combe are very bizarre, and if you run even slightly wide you'll be in a very slippery part of the track. So you just need to be going as fast as you possibly can without running wide. And I'm managing to hold a bit of a gap here, but then I run a bit wide. I take a middle of the road approach, which is definitely not the right line here. It means I'm losing a lot of time. I think I lost maybe a second or 2 on this last lap, and it was all down to this last sector. Fortunately, able to get that victory. I'm very pleased, obviously.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, just having a nice conversation after the race. I know Seb's going to be one of the people to beat this day, so if I can beat him in one of the heats, give me some extra points and cost him some, that's going to put me right up the grid. Here they are coming in heat number 3, getting a really amazing start. Unfortunately, I go all the way from 5th to 1st. That wasn't in the plan. Somehow I've managed to hold it, going to that first corner. I can look back at the replay of it and I can understand why I'm in 1st, but I really don't understand, especially in the moment. I'm just sort of taken aback that I've managed to do like the perfect start, as that's my worst grid position the whole day, and I'm able to take the lead. a few little mistakes through the rest of the race. Here you can see I'm just hitting the barrier just a couple times. Fortunately, I'm able to keep going, and coming to this final corner now, that's going to be another victory. Yeah, just letting out a sigh of exhaustion, really. For some reason, like, these races, they're a bit longer, a bit more physically demanding, and yeah, I was just so exhausted throughout the day. But here we go, final heat. I know I can win this, and if I do, that's going to put me right at the top of the grid for the final. So let's see what we can do. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get as good a start as I had in the previous heats, and so I stay in my third place. I'm just being careful not to make any contact with the drivers ahead. Unfortunately, then they get a really good drive out, and I was just being a bit too cautious before putting my foot on the accelerator to go up the hill. But I see that second place driver goes to the overtake, makes a move, and these two are just battling a lot as well. And I think, hang on a sec, I can sneak up the inside there, and that's exactly what I do. But then, yeah, just getting pushed from behind. So it means instead of being on the grippy part of the track, I'm in the slippery part. Fortunately, I'm able to hold that position, and then the driver ahead, they run wide a bit, but then they come spinning back across. Fortunately, I'm able to avoid them. I was really worried they were going to keep drifting out wide, which is why I was thinking about cutting inside, but they had the presence of mind to just hold the brakes, and they stopped where they were. So fortunately, it means I'm able to take that position. And yeah, that's once again in the lead in only a lap and a bit. It took me an extra lap and one corner rather than just one corner this time. But yeah, as we come now to the final lap, I haven't pulled out as much of a gap as I had in some of the previous races, so I couldn't be exploring the limits. But in this one, I knew I wanted to try and set a fast lap, and unfortunately, I wasn't really able to do that. Just making a few mistakes and just taking some lines that weren't really right in the wet. But yeah, that's 4 victories out of 4.
Yes. Oh, man.
Yeah, it doesn't get better than that. 4 victories out of 4, but I'm not on pole position. That's right, another driver was able to not only win all 4 races, but then set a lap that was 2 seconds a lap quicker than me. I don't know how they did that, but to his credit, he was able to take the victory and get those fastest laps. So it means I'm going to be lining up in second place in the A final. It can be good to start on the outside in the wet, but let's just see what happens. I've got Seb starting in third, and obviously plenty of other quick drivers right behind me as well. I get a really bad start for some reason, with the kart just being really delayed, but then I cut across to the inside, but Seb goes even more on the inside. I wasn't really that pleased about it, but I'm trying to just hold on to this second place now as I'm battling with Dan. He just sort of comes around the outside. I go for the cutback. Unfortunately, someone was just on the inside of the corner there, so I make a little bit of contact. It cost me some momentum. Nothing untoward from the driver there. I'm sure they're all 2 or 3 wide. I'm just trying to find some grip. And there you see coming out the hairpin, I saw someone on the inside, so I deliberately ran a bit wide, but then again I'm just costing myself in terms of momentum and where I'm going. That means I've slotted into third place, and let's just see what we can do, see if we can stick with Dan ahead. I've also got someone right behind me as well. Alex, who qualified I think in 4th place, is now right on my tail. So yeah, I'm just wanting to try and hold on to this position. But then as you see, if we come through here, there's a massive puddle. I had a real difficulty with visibility through this race. My visor was steaming up a lot, and so what I would do is I'd quickly put my visor down, as you can see there. This is the visibility I had really going through this race, and then once I'd gone through the puddle, coming up the back straight, I would then put it back up, and then also tried wiping my visor as well, which helped with some of the drops, but it was more on the inside. But yeah, you can see there the driver in 4th place. I have got a bit of a gap over. But yeah, Marshall just getting the flag ready. I know this is going to be the final lap now. Coming through. I quickly make sure to put down my visor before getting a massive splash. Even some of that went into my helmet and certainly into the seat as well, which gave me a very wet butt. Glad I had my wetsuit but it comes in two parts. So where it meets around the waist, I was getting a bit wet. But yeah, just coming through now. I know I'm going to be hanging on to this position for third place. I just need to not make any mistakes. It's really tricky in this final sector, but as long as you take it nice and steady and find the grippy parts of the track, you're going to be doing well. That's exactly what I do. That's third place. I am very pleased about that. I was still a bit annoyed about what happened at the start, but looking back, it doesn't deserve a penalty for Seb there. It was aggressive, but I left the door open, unfortunately. It's another podium to start out the season after getting one at the first race of last year. I'm quite confident I can do well the rest of the season, but there's a lot of quick people. I'm going to be back out at the next round, and then we'll see what other races I can come to through the rest of the season. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you back out there next month.